New York City, a place of dreams. A city that never sleeps, where the hustle and bustle of life is constant, and the streets are always alive with energy. From the towering skyscrapers to the vibrant neighborhoods, New York is a symbol of ambition and resilience. But on December 4, 2024, it became a nightmare. The city that prided itself on its strength and unity was brought to its knees by a single shocking event. A United Healthcare executive gunned down in broad daylight. The audacity of it, the coldness. It wasn't just a crime, it was a statement, a message sent to the entire city that no one was safe, not even in the heart of the metropolis. It sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened New Yorkers. People who had seen it all, who had lived through the city's darkest days, were now gripped by a new kind of fear. The kind that makes you look over your shoulder, that makes you question the safety of your own streets. This wasn't some back alley deal gone wrong. This was calculated. This was personal. The precision of the attack, the choice of the victim, everything pointed to a meticulously planned operation. The kind that takes time, resources, and a chilling level of detachment. And I've seen enough to know the first 48 hours, they're everything. In those crucial moments, every second counts. Leads go cold, witnesses disappear, and the trail of the perpetrator can vanish into thin air. The pressure was on, and the entire city was watching. The concrete jungle had become a hunting ground, and we were the only ones who could stop this predator from disappearing into its depths. The clock was ticking. The city was holding its breath, waiting for justice, hoping for a resolution. But in a place as vast and complex as New York, finding one person can be like finding a needle in a haystack. Yet we had to try. For the city, for the victim, and for the promise that New York would not be brought to its knees by fear. 48 hours. That's all you get. 48 hours when evidence is freshest, witnesses are most alert, and the killer's mistakes are still warm. Every second that ticks by is a chance for the trail to go cold, for justice to slip away. And believe me, killers know this. They count on it. They think they can outrun the clock. They're wrong. We breathe down their necks. We become the shadows they try to hide in. We are the relentless pursuit of justice, and we don't rest until the handcuffs click. The air was thick with the smell of gunpowder and fear. The night was eerily silent, save for the distant wail of sirens and the occasional murmur of the onlookers. The alleyway, usually a forgotten corner of the city, was now the epicenter of chaos and confusion. The flashing lights of police cars painted the walls in shades of red and blue, casting long, dancing shadows. The ground was littered with evidence markers, each one telling a part of the grim story that had unfolded here. Witnesses, still in shock, stammered out fragmented accounts. Their faces were pale, eyes wide with disbelief. Some clung to each other, seeking comfort in the shared trauma. The police officers moved among them, notebooks in hand, trying to piece together the scattered fragments of the night's events. Each witness had seen something different, each perspective adding a new layer to the mystery. A lone gunman, they said, a shadowy figure that moved with purpose and precision. The sketch artist worked furiously, trying to capture the fleeting glimpses described by the witnesses. The image that emerged was haunting, a face that seemed to be both everywhere and nowhere. The gunman had been fast, efficient, and terrifyingly calm. Fast, efficient, gone in a flash. The figure had melted into the night, leaving behind only questions and fear. The empty streets seemed to echo with the footsteps of the fleeing assailant, a ghostly reminder of the violence that had erupted so suddenly. The police were left with little more than shadows and whispers to chase. We swarmed the scene like bees protecting their hive. Every officer, every detective, every forensic expert was focused, determined. The scene was meticulously combed over, every inch scrutinized for clues. The hum of activity was constant, a symphony of methodical investigation. We knew that somewhere in the chaos the answers lay hidden, waiting to be uncovered. Every piece of trash, every cigarette butt could be a clue. The smallest detail could break the case wide open. Gloved hands carefully collected each item, bagging and tagging them for analysis. Photographs were taken from every angle, preserving the scene in digital memory. The evidence was our silent witness, and we had to listen to what it had to say. Security footage became our eyes, rewinding, replaying, searching for a glimpse of the face behind the crime. Hours of video were scrutinized, every frame examined for the slightest hint of the gunman. The grainy images flickered on the screen, each one a potential breakthrough. We were looking for a needle in a haystack, but we were relentless. The victim's belongings told a story of success, of a life cut tragically short. Expensive watches, designer wallets, keys to a luxury car. Each item spoke of a person who had achieved much, who had dreams and ambitions. But now, they were just pieces of a puzzle, clues to a life that had been violently interrupted. But within that story, we knew the killer's motive lay hidden. Somewhere in the details of the victim's life was the reason for the crime. The detectives huddled together, discussing theories, piecing together the evidence. The crime board was filled with photos, notes, and connections, a visual representation of our collective effort to understand the why behind the what. We just had to find it. The determination was palpable, a shared resolve to bring justice to the victim. Every clue, every lead was pursued with relentless focus. The face of the gunman, the motive behind the crime, the answers were out there. And we would not rest until we had them. The manhunt was on. Flyers with the suspect's face were plastered across the city. Every precinct, every officer had one goal: find this killer. Leads trickled in, some promising, others dead ends. Every tip was a thread, and we unraveled each one, praying it would lead us to the heart of the maze. The pressure was immense, the weight of the city on our shoulders. But we were used to the weight. We carried it for the victim, for their family, for the very soul of New York City. Section 5, Hour 12 to 24, A City on Edge. The city that never sleeps was holding its breath. The usual hustle and bustle had been replaced by an eerie stillness. People moved through the streets with a sense of urgency, their faces etched with worry and fear. The once vibrant city seemed to be cloaked in a shroud of anxiety, as if everyone was waiting for the other shoe to drop. News vans camped out at the precinct, hungry for any scrap of information. Reporters jostled for position, their cameras trained on the station's entrance, hoping to catch a glimpse of any development. The media frenzy added to the tension, as every newscast seemed to bring more questions than answers. The victim's face, once full of life, was now plastered across every screen, a stark reminder of the violence that had invaded their lives. Memorials sprang up across the city, with candles flickering in the night and flowers laid in tribute. The community was in mourning, united in their grief and their demand for justice. Tips from the public poured in. Some were genuine, offering valuable insights or potential leads. Others, however, were fueled by fear or a desire for their 15 minutes of fame. Each call, each message, had to be meticulously evaluated, adding to the already overwhelming workload of the investigators. The public's reaction was a mix of fear and frustration. Gatherings outside the police station became a common sight, with people demanding answers and action. Animated discussions filled the air, as theories and rumors spread like wildfire. The sense of unease was palpable, and the pressure on the police force was immense. We sifted through them all, desperate for that one golden nugget that would crack the case wide open. Every piece of evidence, every witness statement, was scrutinized with painstaking detail. The detectives worked around the clock, driven by a relentless determination to find the truth and bring the perpetrator to justice. The city was on edge, waiting, watching. The usually bustling streets were now eerily quiet, with only the occasional flicker of streetlights breaking the darkness. Residents peered out from behind their curtains, their faces marked by a mix of fear and curiosity. The sense of anticipation was almost tangible, as everyone waited for the next development. We were their shield, their only hope for justice. The weight of the city's expectations rested heavily on our shoulders. Every patrol, every discussion, was a step towards restoring a sense of safety and normalcy. The bond between the officers grew stronger, united by a common goal and a shared sense of duty. And we wouldn't let them down. The determination in our eyes was mirrored in the faces of our colleagues. We moved with purpose, driven by the promise we had made to the city. Failure was not an option. We were committed to seeing this through, to bringing justice to the victim and peace to the community. The city was on edge, but we were ready to stand firm no matter what it took. As the investigation deepens, the pressure begins to mount on everyone involved. The weight of the case starts to take its toll, and the cracks are beginning to show. Detectives work tirelessly, piecing together clues, while the community watches in anticipation, hoping for a breakthrough. In the shadows of the lab, forensic scientists meticulously analyze every piece of evidence. Each test, each result, brings them closer to the truth. The science behind the investigation is as crucial as the detective work on the streets. It's a race against time, and every second counts. The impact of the crime reverberates through the victim's family. Their lives are forever changed, shattered by the loss and the uncertainty of justice. The pain is palpable, and their quest for answers becomes a driving force in the pursuit of justice. Despite the challenges and setbacks, the resolve to bring justice remains unwavering. The culmination of efforts from law enforcement, forensic experts, and the community leads to a pivotal moment. Justice will be served, and the truth will finally come to light.